Something in you has been asking for quiet, and you may not have a word for it yet. A tiredness has been sitting close to the surface. Not the tiredness of one long day, but the older kind. The kind that comes when you have held a shape for other people longer than you meant to. Perhaps you have felt a pull to be alone, and under it, an ache to belong. But there is a reason the air has felt this way since summer, and it is written in the sky above you. A word, first, about who this is for. The sensitive here does not mean a rare or special few, and it does not mean anyone set above anyone else. It means the ordinary, common thing of feeling a change in the body before the mind can name it. Some people wake knowing the season has turned before they check the window. Some feel the mood of a room the moment they step into it. For some, a certain piece of music fills the eyes, for a reason they could never quite explain. If a shift in the air has ever reached you before the news of it did, then this is for you, and there is nothing strange or chosen about it. It is only a particular way of listening, one that a great many people carry, unspoken, through their whole lives. You may already know the shape of this chapter without any of these words, because you have lived it at a family table. That double pull, wanting someone to turn and really see you, and at the very same moment wanting to slip out the side door and be no one for an hour. The wish to shine, and the wish to belong, tugging in opposite directions inside one tired heart. That small tug of war is this entire sky in miniature, and if you've ever felt it, you already understand more than any chart could teach you. The change you have been feeling has a shape. On the 12th of August, a shadow crossed the face of the sun. A total eclipse in the sign of Leo, the sign of the heart and the open hand and the longing to be seen. For many, that day carried a strange weight. You may have felt tender without cause, or moved by something you could not point to, or worn down as though a long chapter were closing behind you. That eclipse was a door. It opened onto a stretch of sky that will hold you for the next year and a half. When a season of the sky like this one opens, the sensitive tend to feel it in the body first. A restlessness that has no name. Sleep that turns thin and full of old faces. A sudden welling of feeling in the middle of an ordinary task. Standing at the sink, driving a familiar road at dusk. None of it means something is wrong with you. It is the pressure of a change that has not yet reached the surface, the way the air grows heavy and still before the weather finally breaks. The true turning came a little earlier, on the 26th of July. That is the day the nodes of the moon change signs. The nodes are not stars you can find with your eye. They are 2 points opposite each other, where the path of the moon crosses the path of the sun. Those who read the sky have followed these 2 points for thousands of years. In their older language, the nodes mark a line of growing and of letting go. One end shows what a soul has already learned and leans on too heavily. The other end shows where it is being invited to stretch. Eclipses happen along this line, which is one reason an eclipse has always felt heavier than an ordinary night. For the past year and a half, that line lay across Virgo and Pisces. The work of those months was inward and fine, a tending, a going with the flow, a softening of the wish to control. When that day came in late July, the line moved. It crossed onto Leo and Aquarius, and it will rest there until the 26th of March, in the year 2028, roughly 18 to 20 months. A long, slow chapter of the sky, opening over your ordinary life. One end of this new line sits in Leo, and the tradition calls it the place of release. Leo is warmth and color and courage. It is the child who dances in the middle of the room without a shred of fear, but it carries an older ache as well. The hunger to be seen, to be applauded, to be the special one. It is the part of you that learned long ago that being noticed was a kind of safety. That performing confidence was easier than feeling it. That if something needed carrying, only you could carry it. The sky is not asking you to lose Leo's warmth. It is asking you to set down its hunger, gently, across many months. The other end sits in Aquarius, and the tradition names that end the place of growth. Aquarius is the wide human web. It is the crowd, the cause, the circle of joined hands. Its lesson is belonging. The kind that asks for no audience, the kind where you are one thread among many, and the web holds even when no one is looking your way. The pull of this chapter, if you feel it at all, draws you away from the center of the room and toward the edges, where other people are standing, waiting to be met. If you want to feel how old this rhythm is, look back for a moment. The last time these 2 points crossed the signs of Leo and Aquarius together was the years of 2017 and 2018. In the August of 2017, a great shadow moved across an entire country from one coast to the other, and the sign it passed through was Leo. Many people remember standing in the street that day, small dark glasses on, watching the light go strange and the birds fall silent at midday. Strangers stood together on porches and in parking lots and in the middle of quiet roads, heads tipped back, sharing a hush that no one had planned. For a few minutes the usual business of being separate people fell away. That is a small taste of what this chapter is reaching for. The moment a crowd forgets to perform and stands together, plainly, under one sky. Whatever began to stir in your own life back then, some quiet question of who you were and who you were for, may be circling back now to be finished, and if you travel back further still, to the last time these points stood exactly as they stand today, with the place of growth in Aquarius, you would go back nearly 20 years to a time before a great deal of the world you now live inside had taken its shape. That is how rare this arrangement is. Not once in a season, once in a generation. There is an honest complication here, and it would be unkind to hide it from you. At the end of June, another body entered Leo, Jupiter, the one the old astronomers called the Great Giver, the Widener, the one that makes larger whatever it touches. Jupiter will stay in Leo until the middle of next year, and Jupiter does not know the difference between what should grow and what should be released. It only enlarges whatever it finds. So the very hunger this chapter is asking you to loosen, the ache to be seen, the wish for applause may swell in you before it grows still. If you feel that hunger rising, you are not failing the lesson. You are feeling two currents at once. One lifts the old craving, the other, slower and deeper, asks you to lay it down. Both are real, and they are moving through you together. Far off, in Aquarius, another body is at work. Pluto, the slow one, the one that takes decades to cross a single sign. Pluto has only lately settled into Aquarius, and in the tradition it does not decorate. It takes things apart and rebuilds them from the ground. Where the nodes point you toward the human web, Pluto is already down inside that web, pulling apart the old structures of how we live together, so that something truer might be built in their place. You did not imagine the feeling that the ground of the shared world is shifting under everyone at once. And those who keep such records would say the ground truly is. You feel it in the news that will not settle, in the sense that the old rules are coming loose, in the low worry about what the shared world will look like for the ones who come after you. That worry is not yours alone to carry. It is the sound of a very large and very slow rebuilding, heard from inside one small human life. So this is the sky you are standing under, a line of release in Leo, a line of growth in Aquarius, one bright wanderer swelling the old wish and one dark one remaking the common ground. Out of all of it, the tradition draws 5 things. This stretch of sky tends to ask of the ones who feel such turnings in the body. They will be named slowly, one at a time, and there is nothing here for you to do but hear them. You could not force it if you tried, any more than you can force a tide or a season. The most that is asked is that you stay awake to what moves in you and treat it kindly when it comes. The first thing this long chapter tends to ask is that you loosen your grip on being seen. You know the feeling, even if you have never said it out loud. It is the small, quick check for who noticed. The photograph you set out into the world, and the way you drift back an hour later to count who saw it. The message left sitting there unread, and the little cold drop in the chest when the reply does not come. A kind word from the right person can lift a whole day, and its absence can hollow one out. It is the effort you put into seeming fine when you are not, the brighter version of yourself you carry into the room, a little steadier, a little warmer than the one who sits alone at the kitchen table at night. For years that brighter version kept you safe. It won you love, or work, or a place at the table. There is no shame in it. Almost everyone learns it young, when being noticed felt the same as being safe. But something in you has grown tired of holding it up. Perhaps you have felt that tiredness lately, a reluctance to perform the old cheerfulness, a wish that someone would see the real weather inside you without your having to arrange your face for them first. Under this sky, that tiredness is not a weakness arriving slowly at this. In the older reading, it is a healing beginning. The grip is loosening on its own. The piece of you that needed to be watched is asking, softly, to be allowed to rest. This is delicate because of Jupiter. As the longing for recognition is being asked to soften, that same longing may flare. You might find yourself wanting to be seen more sharply than you have in years. A hunger for praise, for a larger place, for someone to finally say that you mattered. If that comes, meet it with kindness rather than judgment. It is an old friend, loud at the doorway because it senses it is being asked to leave. You do not have to throw it out. You only have to stop feeding it every hour. What eases when the grip loosens is the exhaustion of being on. The relief is soft, and it arrives slowly. One evening you let a silence sit instead of rushing to fill it. One morning you go out with your face unarranged, and nothing bad happens. Somewhere in a plain conversation, you say the tired true thing instead of the bright false one, and the roof does not fall in. That is the first asking. Not to disappear. To be allowed to stop performing that you are more than you are. The second asking, as the sky turns, is that you face other people and let yourself belong. For some, this pull arrives as warmth. A wish to be in rooms with others again. A tenderness toward a cause you had set aside. A group you drifted from. A neighbor you have not spoken to in a long while. You may catch yourself lingering after a gathering instead of leaving early. You may feel your chest open at the sight of ordinary people doing ordinary, decent things for one another. It can be as small as a shared table in a church hall, or a line of hands passing plates down a long counter, or the low warm noise of a room where you are known and no one is performing. For others, it does not arrive as warmth at all. It arrives as loneliness. If that is you, be gentle with yourself, because the tradition holds something tender about this. Sometimes, the loneliness that rises in a stretch of sky like this one is not a punishment, and not proof that you have failed at your life. It is a compass. It aches in the direction you are meant to walk. The emptiness you feel in the evening is pointing, without words, toward the people you have not yet let close. It is the pull of Aquarius, the wide web, felt from the inside as a lack. Think of an evening this past year when the quiet in the house grew too loud, when you reached for the phone and found no one you felt ready to call. That ache was not a flaw in you. It was the same compass, turning you toward a door you have kept closed, and toward a little more life let in. You have spent a long time, perhaps, being the strong one at the center, the one others came to. There is a loneliness particular to that place, the loneliness of being needed by many and known by few. This chapter tends to turn you, slowly, from being the center that others orbit, toward being one warm body among many, held as much as you are holding. Belonging in the Aquarian sense has little to do with the stage. It is closer to the quiet thing of being one of the crowd, shoulder to shoulder, admired by no one in particular, and no less loved for it. For a heart trained on Leo's spotlight, that can feel at first like a loss, a dimming. But those who have walked this road say that what feels like dimming is only the eyes adjusting, the way they adjust when you step out of a bright room into a garden at dusk and slowly begin to see how much is alive out there in the softer light. You need not force any of this. No new friendships must be built this month. It is enough, under this sky, to feel the pull and to let it be true. To admit, if only to yourself, that you would like to be a little less alone. That admission is all the second asking requires. The turning has already begun the moment you stop pretending you do not need anyone. The third asking comes as a weight. This stretch of sky invites you to set down the belief that you alone must carry it. This one lives in the body long before it ever reaches the mind. It is the tightness across the shoulders that never fully lets go. The waking at 3 in the morning with the list already running. The names and the bills and the worries lined up in the dark before your feet even touch the floor. It is the certainty, worn so long you have mistaken it for character, that if you do not hold everything together, it will fall. Family, work, the worry for people you love, the small daily machinery of a life, all of it resting on you. Because who else would carry it? Because you are the one who always has. Leo, in its heavier form, believes the weight is proof of worth. That to be strong is to need no one. That asking for help is a kind of surrender. Many who feel deeply were praised, as children, for being no trouble, for managing, for being the capable one who never asked. The praise became a cage. Somewhere along the way, being reliable slowly turned into being alone with the load. This sky loosens that, not by lifting the weight off you, but by showing you, in small moments, that it was never yours to carry by yourself. Someone offers, and for once you let them. You say the sentence that costs you so much to say, the plain one, I cannot do this on my own, and the ceiling holds. The person does not think less of you. The weight, once shared, becomes something a body can carry after all. You may feel that relief in the body itself, first as breath, a fuller one, arriving in a chest that had forgotten it could open that wide. The over-responsibility that has slowly worn you down begins to ease the moment another pair of hands comes under the load. It can be as ordinary as a neighbor taking one end of a heavy thing so you are not lifting it alone, or a friend who stays in the room while you do the hard task, so it is no longer done in empty house. The strength that impresses people and the strength that lets others in are not the same strength. And this chapter tends to move you month by month from the first toward the second. The fourth asking is the most tender of all, because it asks you to keep something precious while you release something that has always traveled beside it. Leo is the maker, the one who sings, who plants, who builds, who decorates, who tells the story and sets the table with care. That impulse to create, to bring warmth and beauty into being, is the treasure at the very heart of Leo, and it is not the thing this sky asks you to lay down. This sky wants you to keep it, whole and glowing. What you are asked to release is the audience. There is a way of making that comes from love of the making itself. The song sung because the song wants to be sung. A garden tended because your hands are happy in the soil. The meal cooked because feeding people you love is its own reward. And there is another way that looks almost the same from the outside, where the making is really a bid for approval, where the true question underneath has slowly changed from, do I love this, into, will they love me for it? You have likely lived on both sides of that line, as many tender-hearted people do. You can hear the difference in the silence that comes afterward. When you make from love, that silence is full. The making was the reward, and no one needed to clap. When you make for an audience, that silence is anxious, a kind of waiting, an ear turned toward the door for the sound of praise that will tell you whether it counted. This chapter, in the older reading, tends to teach you to feel that difference from the inside, and slowly to want the first kind more than the second. To make the thing and let it be enough. To knit the scarf and give it away without waiting to be thanked, and to offer your warmth without checking whether it was received the way you hoped. The gift given freely, released the moment it leaves your hands, with no invoice of expectation attached to it. Leo's fire is not put out here. Only the part of it that was always glancing sideways to see who was watching. What remains is warmer for being unwatched, a light that burns because that is its nature, and not because there is anyone in the room to see it shine. The fifth asking is the gentlest, and it is really a kind of permission. It asks you to hold endings and beginnings across a long arc, and to stop expecting them to be finished by tonight. You have been trained, as we all have, to want resolution, to have the feeling and be done with it, to turn the page cleanly and wait tomorrow as someone new. But the sky does not move that way, and neither, in truth, do we. This is a chapter, not a moment. What opened with the eclipse in August is not a door you walk through once and forget. It is a long room you will move across for many months, and the light inside it will change many times before you reach the far side. Knowing this can set you free. If the old hunger flares up next week, you have not failed. If the loneliness returns in the deep of winter, the lesson is not lost. And if nothing seems to shift for a whole season, and later everything moves in a single afternoon, that is the natural rhythm of a chapter this long. Nothing has to be understood today. Nothing has to be finished today. You are allowed to carry a question, unanswered, for a year and a half, and to trust that the answering will come in its own time. The tradition holds that this long room is not empty ahead of you. More eclipses are coming to walk you deeper into it. In February of next year, a ring of fire will burn in Aquarius, a beginning in the place of belonging. The following August brings two eclipses close together, one in Leo and one in Aquarius, the two ends of the line lit almost at once. And in the January of 2028, a last eclipse in Aquarius closes the chapter, just before the nodes move on at the end of that March. Whatever stirs in you now will be returned to and deepened at each of these gates. You have been given a long, slow arc on purpose so that nothing has to be seized in a single night. You might think of these eclipses as tides rather than as marks on a calendar. Each one comes in, moves something, and draws back out, leaving the shore a little changed. There is no need to run to meet them. They will find you where you stand, and between them there will be long, ordinary stretches where nothing seems to be happening at all. And those stretches are part of the work too, the way the ground rests between one planting and the next. And here an old caution belongs, offered softly, the way it has been offered for a very long time. The heat of an eclipse can make a person want to burn something down or leap somewhere new before morning. The pull to end it, to sell it, to leave, to declare, to decide, can feel like clarity when it is really only intensity. Here the old counsel is always the same plain thing. Let the dust settle before you make the choice you cannot unmake. Feelings that arrive in the heat are honest, and still they are not always instructions. There is no harm in waiting to see what remains once the light steadies again. You are allowed, through all of this, to do nothing at all but witness, to watch the weather move through you without acting on every gust of it. Witnessing is not idleness. In a chapter like this one, watching may be the wisest thing a person can do. Before we let the quiet come back, one last thing, and it may be the most freeing of all. Perhaps you have listened to everything here and felt very little. No tiredness with being seen, no ache of loneliness rising in the evenings, nothing you feel ready to hand to someone else. If that is you, then let this be said plainly. You have not missed anything, and you are not behind. Not every sky lands the same way on every life, and the tradition itself would tell you that a chapter can pass through a person as a whisper rather than a storm. A quiet cycle is still a real one. Change that arrives softly is still change. The person who feels an eclipse as a great upheaval and the person who feels it as a faint turning in the chest are living under the very same sky, and neither of them is doing it wrong. There is no prize for intensity. The feeling of being torn open is not a sign that you are growing faster or deeper than the one beside you who feels only a gentle shift. Presence matters more than intensity. To be here, under this long Leo and Aquarius sky, awake to your own small weather, is already all that is asked of you. And you are not meant to meet this sky alone, staring at a screen in the dark. The quiet drift of this chapter is toward the living people around you, the ones who are there with you at a real table, who take an edge of the weight, who can hear the tired true thing and stay. Let this be a small nudge back toward them. Whatever the sky is doing, it is the human hands nearest you that will carry you through it. So let the next many months be whatever they will be. If the grip on being seen loosens, let it loosen. If the turn toward others comes, follow it only as far as feels true. When a hand arrives to help you carry the weight, you are allowed to let it down. Your warmth can stay while the watching falls away, and your questions can travel with you, unhurried, across the long arc, all the way to the far edge of that March in 2028, when the nodes move again and a new sky opens over you. There is nothing you need to do tonight. There is only this chapter, softly beginning, and you, already inside it, exactly on time.